ThalesRaytheonSystems is proud to present once again this Grandmaster family of radars in Indonesia. This radar family is quite successful. We are hoping, in fact, to capitalize on different markets we won recently in different competitions and for the French Air Force and other NATO European countries. So, as you know, Thales is a well-known, established radar company in the world. We have been manufacturing radars since the 50s and even before the Second World War. And recently, I would say, Thales has looked into inserting new technologies into radar technology to support in a better way its customers. So we have made several breakthroughs in order to enhance the capability for the customers and to support them, sustain them when they are deploying and using these radars. Initially, we started with the GM400. So this radar is a long-range surveillance radar. Basically, compared to the previous generation, it aims at covering low, medium, and high altitude. The previous generation was more focused on medium and high altitude. This one is really designed with the support of the French Air Force and other forces in Europe and elsewhere to look for nowadays threats. So we mean low-flying, slow-moving targets, cruise missiles, UAVs. So we have taken into account this kind of requirements in order to bring something on the market that will match perfectly the expected and the future requirements of the Air Forces. One thing also where we have been asked to look and to work on is, I would say, the capability to keep these radars operating for a very long time. So compared to the previous generation, all of these radars have a far higher mean time between critical failure. So ThalesRaytheonSystems, working with the French Ministry of Defense and other Ministry of Defense worldwide, is committed on numbers that will allow the Air Force to run these radars without interruption for years. This is also a brand new radar, I would say a breakthrough, because it is a full digital product. Compared to the previous generation, here we have digitized completely the radar. From the antenna, from the reception, everything is digital. So it brings several advantages. The main one, in fact, is that this radar can reconfigure itself. Even if some components are down, the radar will still be able to operate. And according to, I would say, preset parameters or what the users want to do, we are able to perform our mission. And the radar will look where the operator wants it to look. So there will be no gap because one channel is down. So it means for any Air Force, they are able to have a sustainable coverage, air picture production capability. You see this is quite compact. When the antenna falls, you have this packet, ISO container. We have made several tests with the French Air Force to put it on board the C-130. It has been loaded, flown, unloaded with standard NATO equipment to perform these missions. What is very important for any export customers and why we won also some competition is that we have a contractual commitment with the French Air Force to sustain, to support these radars for the next 25 years. So it means any customers coming to ThalesRaytheonSystems can rest assured that there won't be any obsolescence issues because they are part of a wider and bigger contract. The Grandmaster family is really a family, meaning that these brothers share the same technological bricks. So it means that any user is able to take spare parts used on the GM400, to take them on the GM200 and to take them on the GM60. Why we looked into it, it stems from industrial constraints and also operational constraints and budgetary constraints. From an industrial standpoint, we are able, in fact, to have a far bigger quantity of components to be produced. As we are taking components coming from the telecom industry, making them adapted to the military environment, we are able to have a bigger, I would say, purchase base, and we are able also to surf or to play with the movement of the technology. So the other advantage for any Air Force is that they can have an army, they can have a single pool of spare parts. So if you take one, I would say, octopack from the GM400, if you plug it on the GM200, the hardware will check where it is and will reconfigure itself to work on this equipment. This is even more a big family because these radars are also used by our Dutch colleagues for the naval version, which is called the SM400. But the elements, the key elements, are the same in fact. So Thales try to have a holistic approach to develop something where we have software, hardware, mechanical components. You will see that the shelter is almost the same. In order to gain, I would say, on cost, to make the life more easier for the user in terms of logistics, and to be able also to have a large production run to sustain these products for the next 20-25 years. So the GM200 is a battlefield radar, in fact. It can be used by an Air Force to play as a gap filler role, meaning if you have these ones providing long-range coverage, if in the middle of your country you have mountains, you have valleys, or you have specific assets or gap in your detection coverage, you will use this radar to complement, augment the, I would say, the recognized air picture provided by this long-range surveillance radar. ThalesRaytheonSystems and Thales worked on this radar in order to fulfill two roles: gap filler, so as a smaller brother of the GM400, but also as a radar of the battlefield. This one is able to cue weapons, so it means it is able to spin at different speed in order to perform its mission correctly. It is going to turn in at one turn every 3 seconds in surveillance mode. It has a range about 250 kilometers, but when it will do the weapon queuing mission, it will speed at 1.5 seconds in order to engage, to refresh, in fact, the users to know where the target is coming and to destroy the targets. The difference between the GM400 and the GM200 is also the fact that the GM400 is one single packet deployed by C-130. You have to bring in the ancillaries like the genset. Here, this one is supposed to go on its wheel everywhere. Genset and work positions are included. But as usual, depending on the concept of operation of the customer, of the Air Force or the Army, we can have people inside the cabin to operate, to, let's say, establish a recognized situation, to cue the weapon, to talk with the weapon systems. All this can be also remotely operated by people, I would say, a few hundred meters, a few kilometers away. What is also, we have sold this system to already a few customers. It is classified, and we hope that by providing a concept of a family concept, we'll be able to provide full turnkey surveillance solutions to Air Force and Army on a world basis, because these two radars fulfill different roles and are complementary. Thales went a little bit further. We have developed, here we don't have the mock-up, the GM60, which is a smaller version of the GM200 and GM400, using always the same Lego bricks, I would say, in order to go with armored formations to protect, I would say, units deployed on the field. So the ground master radars are integrated, in fact, in command and control systems that ThalesRaytheonSystems is deploying. We are the #1 company in the world for this kind of system, having major reference in the US, in France, in NATO, and in many other countries, in Indonesia, where we are today. And this is a whole system, so meaning we don't have only sensors, but we have full solutions. Other points is that in Indonesia, for instance, where we are today, ThalesRaytheonSystems is delivering full turnkey solutions, so radars, command and control systems, civil works in a very remote area. And here we are clearly working with our partners, PT-Land, to work for the next competition in order to sustain and support the Indonesian Air Force for the long term, like we have been doing since now the early 80s.